Have you ever set a goal, to eat healthier, maybe exercise more, or spend way less time on your phone, only to find yourself right back where you started a few weeks later? Yeah, you are not alone. That constant battle for self-control is exhausting, and honestly, it can be pretty demoralizing. But what if the problem isn't you? What if it isn't your willpower at all? What if we've been thinking about self-control completely wrong this whole time? It's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? We know what we should be doing. We might even desperately want to do it. But then the moment of temptation hits, and it just feels like this unstoppable force. And it can make you feel weak, or maybe even like you're broken. But today, we're going to dig into why that feeling is absolutely not your fault. And this quote right here, it gets right to the heart of the whole problem we're unpacking. Our culture has framed self-control as this epic battle of inner strength, a virtue that you either have or you don't. But the science, well, it tells a very, very different story. And frankly, it's a much more empowering one. Okay, so first things first, we have to completely dismantle this central myth, this idea that a lack of self-control is some kind of personal, moral failing. This belief is the source of so much unnecessary struggle, and it is time to let it go. You see, when we believe willpower is everything, failure doesn't just feel like a setback. It feels like a reflection of who we are as a person. And this creates a really toxic cycle. We try, we fail, we feel ashamed. And that shame just drains the very motivation we need to even try again. It's a brutal loop. So if it's not a character flaw, what is actually going on in there? To really get why willpower seems to fail us, we need to look inside the brain. There's a biological tug of war happening every single time you face a choice between what you want right now and what you want most. Here's a great way to think about it. You've got two competing systems in your brain. First, you've got your limbic system. Think of it like an impulsive toddler that sees a cookie and just screams, "I want it now." It's fast, it's emotional, and it's incredibly powerful. Then, on the other side, you've got your prefrontal cortex. And that's the tired parent trying to reason with the toddler, saying, but we have a healthy dinner planned for later. It's slow, it's logical, and it takes a ton of energy to operate. And this is exactly why that toddler wins so often. There's a scientific name for it, delay discounting. It's a predictable cognitive bias where our brains are just wired to strongly prefer a small, immediate reward over a bigger one later on. Our brains evolved for immediate survival. Eat the berry in front of you now, don't worry about a potential feast next week. So a moment of pleasure now will almost always feel more real and more compelling than some distant benefit. It's not a flaw, it's just our wiring. And think of that parent part of your brain, that prefrontal cortex, like a muscle. It gets tired, it gets exhausted. This is exactly why you're so much more likely to skip the gym or order takeout at the end of a long, stressful day after you've made a million other decisions. Your self-control reserves are literally drained. They're depleted. Okay, so we've got this internal battle raging inside our heads. But what if I told you the bigger fight isn't happening inside you at all? The real game is being played in the environment around you. And a lot of the time, you don't even notice it's happening. This is such a powerful insight. Let's really let it sink in. Most of the time, you don't consciously decide to get distracted by your phone or to go grab an unhealthy snack. An external cue, like a notification popping up or just seeing a bag of chips on the counter, triggers an automatic habit before your logical brain can even get its shoes on. Let's just walk through how this plays out, because we've all been there. Your phone buzzes, that's the cue. You pick it up without even thinking, that's the automatic response. And then, before you know it, a half hour has just vanished into thin air. You didn't choose to waste that time. You were simply pulled into a perfectly designed loop. And here's the bottom line, really. We are running ancient brain software in a modern world that is expertly engineered to exploit every single one of our impulses. The deck is totally stacked against us. So the problem isn't you, it's the massive mismatch between your brain and your environment. And when you repeatedly lose this rigged game, something kind of dangerous can start to happen. It's a psychological state called learned helplessness. You start to actually believe that you have no control, that failure is just inevitable. This is that awful feeling of, why even bother trying? And it stems directly from fighting a battle you were never really meant to win through sheer force of will alone. So, if fighting head-on is a losing strategy, what's the answer? Well, it requires a pretty fundamental shift in how we see ourselves. We need to go from being a soldier, constantly fighting on the front lines, to being an architect who designs the entire battlefield. Just look at the difference between these two approaches. It's really stark. The soldier strategy is absolutely draining, it's continuous, and it's unreliable. But the architect strategy, that's different.
You put in the effort up front to design a better system, and then you get to reap the rewards consistently with far, far less effort day to day. And this, right here, is the secret. That person you admire who seems to have incredible self-discipline, they aren't superhuman. Not at all. They're just better architects. They're not fighting temptation all day long. They've designed their lives so they don't have to. They've made the good choices the path of least resistance. So, how do you become an architect? Well, here's your toolkit. It's actually pretty simple. If you don't want to eat junk food, get it out of the house. That's removing the queue. If you want to watch less TV, unplug it and put the remote in another room when you're done. That's adding friction. It's all about making your environment work for your long-term goals, not against them.
And as we wrap up, I really, really want you to absorb this message. Please stop blaming yourself. The struggle you feel is real because the systems of temptation, both inside your own brain and in the world around you, are incredibly powerful. A lot of them were intentionally designed to be that way. You are not broken. You are human.
So I'll leave you with this final powerful question. The next time you find yourself struggling, instead of gritting your teeth and just trying to push through with more willpower, I want you to stop and ask yourself this. How could I make this easier? How can I step back, think like an architect, and redesign the situation so that doing the right thing becomes the easiest possible choice? Because that, right there, is the true path to self-control.